Hey everybody, this is Moose, your local travel guy. A bunch of people have been asking me to kind of share with them some of the experiences that I have around traveling around the world. So I thought I'd make this short 5-minute video on all the cities that I've been to. So hope you guys like it. If you have any questions, let me know below. Alright, so first we're going to be starting off with Seattle. Seattle, you guys may know them as the former Supersonics, the Seattle Mariners. All these really cool teams come from Seattle, right? Maybe the Seahawks, but no one's a fan of them anyways because they stole our 12th man. Anyways, my wife and I went there last weekend, so I want to share with you some really cool things about what we learned about Seattle. So one really interesting thing about Seattle is just the culture that they have there. The culture is really focused on kind of, it's a very personal and local community feel. So one of the coolest places that you can go to is a place called Pike's Market. And basically inside Pike's Market, they have all these really cool booths that people set up every single morning. And I guess they set them up every morning because they want new people to come in there. So you can get anything you want. You can get organic honey, you can get tulips. And if you get tulips, be careful because you got to carry them around the entire day. So ladies, remember that. If you want to get chocolate covered cherries, if you want to get fresh seafood, they got a whole bunch of stuff over there. It's pretty amazing. One of the gentlemen there actually had a plum that he called the oh my god plum, because once you took a slice of it and you ate it, the first thing you said was oh my god, and it was pretty funny because my wife did the exact same thing, and you couldn't have timed it any better. Another thing that I thought was really interesting was, sorry, we come from Dallas, we're a little more superficial. People in Seattle don't tend to dress the most fancily. They wear a lot of browns and greens and grays and a lot of like weird mixed colorful things. So just to let you know, if you do go out and you like to dress up, if you're in downtown at least, close to where we were on First Street, you may kind of stick out. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. And if you don't care about that stuff, then that's even better, because who cares? One other interesting about the weather is that it tends to rain on and off, and there's a bit of an overcast, but when the sun comes out, it's so marvelous. You're really going to love it. It's one of the most beautiful cities I've been to as far as the natural landscape. You got water, you got mountains, you got a cityscape, you got tall, long trees everywhere. It's bright and green, and then you got like the landscape of like this incredible city, as you can kind of see in the background over there also. So my wife and I were staying really close off of First Street. We were actually staying at the Four Seasons. Don't judge us. We had a really cool, good rate. But there's inside the Four Seasons there's a place called the Goldfinch. Even if you're not going to eat dinner there, which I probably wouldn't recommend because it's really expensive. It's like 50 to 60 bucks, I'd say, per person. We just went in there for dessert and green tea, but I would recommend it. It's a really like romantic, nice place to kind of hang out. It's really high class, really chill. They got some fireplaces inside and a beautiful view of the cityscape from the restaurant. So highly recommend the Goldfish restaurant, if just for the location, not necessarily for the food. And the service is just phenomenal. The people there are really, really nice and really friendly. And obviously you can't go to Seattle without trying out a place called Ivar's. We ate there actually twice in the 3 days that we were there, so it was pretty good. I would highly recommend the 5-piece Alaskan cod. It's like $10.99. It comes with a drink and fries. You can't really beat that. You can go ahead and sit in the back. You can just sit down with a bunch of seagulls and feed them. However, be careful. They poop a lot all over the benches and the tables, and sometimes the guys don't get a chance to clean it up beforehand. So buyer beware, pooper beware. Make sure you go there with some moisty naps if you want to clean up after the birds. But really awesome food and really affordable. What my wife and I did also is we actually found some things called Pronto. If you look it up, Pronto. There's no app on iOS or Android, but basically you can actually find this green bike. These green bike stations, you can rent them by the hour and the half hour. So we essentially rented a bike for 1 hour. It cost us $8. And in that $8, we basically rode our bike all the way from around the Four Seasons all the way down to this place called Myrtle Edwards Park. Now, if you check out TripAdvisor, it's going to tell you that Myrtle Edwards Park is kind of cool and it's probably like number 80th, whatever to do there, but it's actually pretty beautiful. I would highly recommend you take a walk or ride your bike down there. There's places where there's these kind of trees that have fallen onto the coast. There's rocks there. There's incredible blue water in front of you, and then in the background you can actually see this incredible city landscape. You can see all of the city, and you can also see some mountains in the background, and if you catch a sunset, you're gonna be pretty happy that day, because it's, oh man, it was really, really special. I would also recommend once you're there, make sure you bring some water and snacks with you, because there's no food, there's nothing over there. So bring it with you before you get onto Myrtle Edwards Park, because it's going to be hard for you to find something once you're there. So if you're thirsty or you're hungry, or you got to use a bathroom, they got a small bathroom there, but I wouldn't bank on using it. Just be prepared before you go. That's just my advice. And also right by Pier 89, they have this really, really cool boat that they use. It's kind of always there to kind of measure the water levels in the Puget Sound. I think it's Puget Sound. Sorry if I'm quoting the wrong. Yeah, it's called the Elliott Bay. So they have this little ship there that basically measures the water level in Elliott Bay, and they kind of leave it there all the time. But you kind of have these really cool connectors, and it's like this airport arm. You know, when you go from the terminal into the plane, it's got this little arm that sticks out. It's kind of like that, and it's kind of connected to the ship. It's just really, really cool, and I just really like it. It's so massive, and it's so different from somebody coming from Texas. We have concrete and more concrete in Dallas, so seeing something like that is just really refreshing and really, really cool. What else? So if you're into super touristy stuff, you can go see the Needle. It costs you, I think, $20-something to get up into the Space Needle and kind of get a tour of the whole city. If you've seen that kind of stuff before, it's kind of no different than anywhere else you've seen it, maybe in like Turkey or Chicago or New York City or anywhere else where you can see a cityscape like that. What I would recommend instead is taking a tour on the Argosy cruises. So we actually got lucky in that late afternoon. They had a second or they had a third trip, which was actually half price. So for $13.50. We basically get to sit on the boat, and I would recommend actually sitting on I would actually recommend sitting on the second level, because if you can always choose to go outside and come back inside, but if you're outside and all the seats are gone, you're going to be stuck outside. So I recommend you sit inside. If you sleep on the back, you can get an unbelievable perspective of the city from the water. So bring out your SLRs, bring out your GoPros, bring out your iPhone cameras, and try to even capture the beauty of that cityscape. It's pretty unbelievable. And you can only kind of get that view from the Argosy cruise. I would highly recommend it. Normally I don't recommend that stuff, but it was really well worth it. And if you get lucky, like we did, even the commentator was saying, hey, this is a really special day for Seattle. It's very rare to see the cityscape like this. Take as many pictures as you can, because it doesn't come that often. So I would highly recommend that, and hopefully you'll get as lucky as we did. Now, what I gotta recommend to you is, on what to wear. Okay, so Seattle, basically throughout the day, the range of the weather goes from cold to kind of semi-warm to dry to sprinkling showers. So you kind of always got to be prepared. So actually I wore this vest. It was really, really handy, simply because there's a bunch of pockets and stuff, so I can always get access to maps. And if you have chapped lips and hands, you got to get lotion and whatever you need handy. Hey, I'm just being honest. You can keep that kind of stuff on hand, kind of having to fuddle with your pockets. And for whatever reason, my cell phone battery was dying out there all the time. I don't know if it's because of signal or whatever was going on, but maybe keep a spare battery, one of those kind of small cylindrical tubes, so you can kind of always be charged on the go. I would really recommend the kind of that jacket, but I also took it because it's not super hot. So sometimes if it was raining and then it stopped, I still, I'm not like burning inside. I got to take my jacket off and then hold it around the entire time, because man, I really hate doing that. Something I would recommend inside the market is these little donut place. You'll see it right when you walk inside. They make fresh donuts from batter, and they can be in your mouth within about 45 seconds. I would recommend the cinnamon sugar and the maple. They also have some other flavors there, but I would recommend those two the most. Also, right next to it is a little bagel shop. I think it's just called Bagel Shop. I would highly recommend the jalapeno cheddar with the hummus. They actually put the hummus on the bagel in a really neat way. They don't just slap it on. They kind of slap it on in this like weird, cone-like structure. So you actually get a lot. They don't kind of like rip you off on there. So it's really good. It was like $3.25. Pretty much nothing. Like, it's really, really great. Those donuts also, they cost you $4.50 for a half dozen, but for $1.50 more, you can get a whole dozen. So for basically like $6. And the people are really nice. Just give them $6. It's like totally cool. And you can give them out to people as you're going through. One other thing we saw was there's a bunch of like fish markets there, and they do this cool thing where they just like to throw fish around. It's kind of crazy, but basically whenever somebody buys a big fish, they start singing some tunes like they're pirates, and they just heave these huge fish and they just throw them across, and then they catch them, and then they throw them across again. And one time they got caught and literally like I almost made out with the fish. It was crazy. Like he was right in front of me. Be careful for the flying fish kisses that you might encounter when you're out there. So there's also this place called Miner's Landing that a lot of people like. I don't understand the attraction to it. It's like 3 or 4 restaurants kind of put in one. I see it as a place where a lot of families go, and they really enjoy that, but I would more recommend some other places like Evar's and some other local places more than Miner's Landing. For whatever reason, I didn't like it. You can try it on your own, but it felt a little more like mall-like food. Like in a food court. It felt a little bit more like food court type food, so just be mindful of that. And there's also the Seattle. There's also the Seattle Great Wheel. It's like this big Ferris wheel. It's actually pretty nice. The prices were probably around like $15 per person, because Seattle actually charges a 15% tax for anything in that kind of tourist area. So just know that it's not the normal 9.25 or 9.5% that Seattle charges. It's actually 15% or 14.5 or something like that. So it's actually going to end up pretty expensive. But what my wife and I did is we actually sat underneath the Ferris wheel and we took pictures of the sunset and the landscape, and they were pretty marvelous. So I would recommend doing a boat tour and taking pictures close to the Ferris wheel as opposed to getting in the Ferris wheel. But hey, if you want to do that, if you want to spend $30, you can do whatever you like. Is one of the gems of Seattle is this place called Shiro's. If any of you have looked on Netflix, Jiro Dreams of Sushi, it's a fantastic film. I'd highly recommend it. If you're a perfectionist or somebody who never accepts mediocrity in themselves, I'd watch the movie. It'd be really inspiring. Basically, one of his students opened up a restaurant called Shiro's. If you go there, save up your money. It's well worth every penny you spend to get something called omakase, O-M-A-K-A-S-E. It's basically all the freshest fish that the chef has found that day. He serves it to you in like this 17 course meal that kind of takes you on this magical ride on your palate of like, you know, strong and mild and bold and light tastes. It's really worth it. You'll never experience sushi this way again, and it might make you think twice when you get those $4.99 spicy tuna rolls with spicy mayo on top. Just saying. Also, in getting around, Seattle's a really, really hilly place, so some places are even actually hard to kind of walk. So if you're riding a bike, make sure you kind of follow the bike trails. Seattle seems to have bike paths located around the entire city, so if you like biking, it's a great place to be. I've even saw some people kind of on the freeway. There's a whole bike lane that's covered up by an entire fence, so like you can't fall or anything crazy happen to you. So the whole city seems to be designed for people to get away around however they want to. So I would really look into that if that's something you want to do. They also have Uber there. For whatever reason, it takes like 5 to 9 minutes to get an Uber, which is like kind of annoying. So just be on the lookout for that. Regular cabs are, I would say, more expensive than taking an Uber, so kind of keep that in mind. You're going to probably end up walking a lot most of the places. They've got some buses that are like on the red line and green line, but they kind of just tend to go through main parts of the city. It's not going to really help you get, you know, from point A to point B to point C. It'll kind of really help you to get from A to like G and G to A again, but that's pretty much it. We didn't get a chance to go to the Seattle Aquarium, but we heard really good things about it. I would check that out on TripAdvisor and see if that's something you're interested in. But we didn't get a chance to see. There's a lot of construction going on over there. But from what I've been told, it's pretty similar to most of your other aquariums around the United States. So if you've been to one, you've been to more or less, right, by a few standard deviation, a lot of them. I would recommend spending more time in Pikes Market and really enjoying some of the things there. There's a place there called, like Italian Family Pizza. They serve a 28-inch pizza for like $28 or something like that. It's really good. I'd highly recommend it. My wife and I ate about half the pizza. Don't judge us. But we ate about half the pizza and then we gave the rest of it away. But if you go there with a group of 4 people, one kind of 28-inch pizzas would be just enough for you. I'd recommend to get a hybrid. You can get like a white and a cheese and kind of get it mixed. And it was actually really good. We really enjoyed it. And the guy was really nice and really friendly. And we really enjoyed the service there. It's called Italian Family Pizza. I would definitely check it out. A little bit about what the weather's like over there. We talked a little bit about kind of what to wear. I wouldn't wear open-toed shoes, so if you want to wear something that's a little closed so that even if like you step into a puddle or something, you'll be totally fine. No big deal. Oh, last thing I wanted to mention, there's this place that's called one other thing about Seattle is basically the city is up here, and then there's like this big drop. And then there's like the coastal area, right? So I don't know if you can see my hands, but you know, here's kind of the city. If you want to get down to this area where the water is, you got to take a lot of stairs. And by a lot of stairs, I mean a lot of stairs. And by a lot of stairs, I mean a lot of stairs. So keep that in mind. It's not that easy. It's not that hard. I'm sure you guys from Seattle have no problem, but people from Texas, we drive a lot, so it's a little hard for us, okay? So take your inhaler, take your inhaler, get a drink of water, stretch, and then go down the stairs because it's actually somewhat challenging, especially after a long day. My Fitbit, we had around we had 15,000 steps by the end of that day, so we were a little bit tired. Plus bike riding, which the Fitbit doesn't calculate. Thanks, Fitbit. But there's this place over there that has it has a really cool totem pole, and you can kind of see all of the city. But I need you to be very careful, and I'm going to end on this. When you go to the totem pole, on the bottom, there's a little plaque, and you can read, and you can be like, oh, this totem pole is so famous and so fancy, blah, 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 blah. By the way, it's like Weed Central there, so it smells like Mary Jane everywhere. I looked up, and I'm not kidding you, I saw the butts of 6 birds right on top of me, because there's like a little pole that they're sticking out of. I jumped out of the way, I'm not kidding you. After 6 seconds, one of the birds took a shot and it fell straight down and it missed me by just about 6 inches. So be careful. Don't read the plaque as much as you think. Be careful. Don't read the plaque, no matter how interesting it looks, unless those birds have already done their business, all right? All right, guys. Well, thanks again for your time. If you guys have any questions or comments, please comment and subscribe below. I'm looking forward to making tons of videos for you guys of all my travels around the world. Thank you so much.